Julie Broad.
Yeah.
You're on the pod.
Thank you.
How exciting.
Yes.
And newly elected Bunbury City Councillor.
Yes, 3 weeks ago.
Yep. And my only knowledge of you before that is being the CEO of the Bunbury Chamber of Commerce.
That's correct.
And I'm guessing there's an entire lifetime before that got you to that point.
Absolutely.
So tell me about that.
Oh, how far do you want to go back?
As far as I tell you what, I find like when I look at my story, it started getting interesting like 5 years ago. There's heaps of cool shit before that, but you sort of have that moment in your mind where you're like, that's sort of the start line of the interesting part. Whatever that is for you.
Fantastic. Well, the other night it was interesting. I was invited to talk at Swish Bunbury and I started talking about women and women keeping other women down. Because often you hear about men and what they, over the time, have, I guess, what they've done to keep women down. But I actually have the opposite experience.
Interesting.
And so I spoke about women and women building people up and why is it that we don't experience that throughout our lifetime. And it's interesting because I had to go back to something that really defined me. And I was really honest because I, for the first time in my life, realised that I probably didn't take accountability for that experience back when I was 20. You know, I was not a good person to a woman that I worked with. And I was very early 20s. I was very ambitious. I didn't know that I was ambitious.
Yep.
But when I treated this woman as a threat to my progression in that company, I was a cow. And it's interesting, when I spoke to the owner of the business, I said to him, is there any way, any progression for me in this company? He said, Julie, absolutely there isn't.
Really?
It's this job
Yep.
or unfortunately you have to leave.
Interesting.
And I said, okay, I have to leave. But I left with a really heavy weight on my shoulder because I knew that I was an absolute cow to this woman. And I wasn't emotionally mature enough to actually own it at that time. Mm-hmm. But since then I've owned it, and I've owned it to the point where I vowed to myself I would never be that person ever again. So I've actually been a champion for women ever since.
Right.
And it's interesting because over my working career, I've actually, it's almost like karma has dealt me mirrored that same how I was to that woman back to me several times.
Yeah, it's karmic balance.
It is.
Yeah.
And it's interesting to reflect on that, talking at Swish Bunbury the other night to a group of women, and there were 3 women in that group. One was very emotional, and she's got a very current experience happening to her where she knows that other women want to keep her down.
Yep.
Or want her to fail. And if I can bring it back into the campaign, I was really shocked at some of the conversations that were being held by my fellow women about me running, about me putting my hat in the ring. Women that I didn't expect that from. And one particular woman, I actually don't even know anything about her other than her name. And I was curious as to why she would want to put such a downer on me putting my hat in the ring. I would have thought that, most people I know were really excited to think, good on you.
Yeah.
You know, you're putting yourself out there. You're putting yourself to do this, you know, and that part of it has it's raised something in me yet again about that accountability, but also what is it about other women that feel that that's acceptable?
So, all right.
Now, I've gone a bit left, I know.
No. Let's. I want to stick with it. Would you define yourself as a powerful woman?
I would suggest that I'm a person who is very determined. Powerful, that's a very big word. I would say determined. I like to be fair. So fairness is a big part of my value system. Fairness, what's right. And I look after people who I see who are being put down or who are being not recognised, people who probably don't get a go. And if that's deemed to be powerful, but I'd like to think that I'm considerate, that I'm measured, and I'd like to think that I care about other people.
All right, let's have a quick break. This episode is proudly brought to you by one of Australia's largest privately owned transport and logistics companies, MGM Bulk. So if you're an MC operator or a mechanic and want to earn real money fast, MGM Bulk are offering an all expenses paid adventure to the Pilbara with flights, meals and accommodation covered. Meaning that when it's time to fly out and return home, your pockets will not just be full, they'll be overflowing. Or maybe FIFO's not your thing. There's also a wide range of roles available right here in the Southwest. More than 700 Australians build their career with MGM Bulk, and maybe now it's your turn. Visit mgmgroup.com.au/careers or stay up to date by following them on socials. And now, back to the podcast. I think you're maybe subconsciously putting this negative connotation on the idea of what powerful might be. Because I think there's a powerful of like, this person is powerful and they're taking away my power because of it. It's like that. It's like because they're rich, I'm poor. But I think it's like, the gardener stepping into the garden has a power over the aesthetic and the outcome, Yes. And I think that, without, addressing the obvious, there definitely is a power struggle for women in general in our current society. And obviously over my lifetime, probably your lifetime, it's got, reasonably better for women. I feel like women have a lot more of a, probably like a say for layman's terms, but women have more of a like opportunity and like more of a voice. And I think that within that, there's been like capacity for women such as yourself, who like my introduction to you was as CEO of the Chamber of Commerce. You don't fall into that position, and now you've been elected by people in your city to be part of the decision-making process. So somewhere in there, I feel like there's a subconscious recognition of like, at the very least, you have like pull, power, win,
Yeah, I guess that could be right. But I'm thinking maybe it's because I'm a doer. And I don't want to undermine myself, but I do think it's because I just get shit done.
Yeah.
And I think I'm known for that across my entire working life. I grew up, and I know you may know this, but I grew up on a farm, and I think that also, I like to bring it back to those roots because it really did define who I am today.
Yeah.
My mother was immensely capable.
Yeah.
She supported my dad being the primary farmer, but she was also a good farmer herself. Now, farming women were, back in those days, it was about cooking, cleaning, providing, for the family, cooking, making, growing vegetables. But actually, Mum was the farmer.
Interesting.
Dad was the implementer. But Mum was the ideas lady. Mum could put a hand to anything. And also, I think my father and both my mother, I was the only daughter, so with two boys. I wasn't, just because I was the daughter, treated any differently. We all had to pitch in. We all had to work hard. And I think that upbringing, and I remember Dad, really being a champion of mine throughout my life. And I think that and Mum sadly died quite early, but Dad was always, there was no job I couldn't do.
Yeah.
I was cooking for shearers at 10 because my mum was in hospital for 3 months. So I didn't even bat an eyelid.
So interesting that your parents at that age, I'm going to zoom into that example, right? You're 10, oh no, you can't do that. You're too young. You're a girl. That actually creates a void in the mind, that sort of supple neuroplasticity of like, I don't do that. I do, out of all the 10 pegs, I feel peg number 2 and peg number 6, 7 and 8, and that's it. But having that exposure to, and the thing about farming life is that you actually have exposure to so many more problems to solve. And on the back end of that, you have so much more exposure to the ability to exercise critical thinking.
Yep.
And then we're just adding in spice over the top of you're also going to take on every responsibility regardless of gender role norms in this environment.
And work there's no defining time. You know, it can start as early as 6. I mean, we had jobs to do before we went to school. We had to feed the chooks. We had to feed the dogs.
Yeah.
Of course, we didn't have to run the dogs because it was a farm. But,
Yeah.
you know, we had to do a lot of jobs before we jumped on that school bus or rode to the kilometre to get on that school bus. And I think that defined me throughout my working career. I've never worked a 9-to-5 job, ever. You know, I worked 60 hours a week at the chamber.
Yeah.
Because I loved it,
Yeah.
not because I wanted to be a martyr, and I wanted to get shit done.
Yeah. Oh, I think the craziest part about being an executor, being someone who like I really, what's the word? My words are not coming to me today. I'm sorry. Even on the phone this morning, I felt like I was waiting for the word to pop up and it didn't, but like more than once. But I feel like I really excel in situations where I've got too much shit to do in one day. You know, you're like, oh, I've only got 14 possible hours of doing stuff, and I've got 15 hours of work.
Yes. Yep.
You know,
Yep.
but that's the superpower. You know, like when we tried to make this happen tomorrow, and you're like, I can make it happen today, and I'm like, oh, let me Tetris my day around and see if it's possible, and then also let me set a time that's way too early to get all this shit ready anyway, and still see if we can make it work. Hence the bit of shuffling around I did before you got here, but. As you're saying, I think that if that's something that caters to the way your mind works, a 60-hour week sometimes isn't long enough, you know?
Yeah, and I think for me it's I'm here on this earth to make a difference. I know that. I was born with that printed across my head.
Yeah.
Everything I've done has been with purpose. And in fact, on my LinkedIn profile, it's passion with purpose.
Yeah.
That's my mantra. And if I don't have a passion, if I don't have a level of purpose in my life that suits me, I just move away. And, you know, going into local government was not on my radar, but so was the chamber. Like it was not in my game plan. I was consulting to businesses because I love the thought of building and making sure that businesses, after owning quite a few of my own, what I didn't know, I now give back to other businesses by, just connecting them to all the services that are available. So going into or thinking about local government for me was, can I make a difference? And I've obviously heard a lot of don't do it, you won't be able to make a difference, it's too slow, it's too this, it's too that. But the more that I heard those comments, the more that I was fascinated with the machine and the mechanisms.
I understand you.
Yeah. So for me, I thought I've still got gas left in the tank, even though I retired full-time work. I wanted to really investigate, can I make a difference? Let's give this a go. What's the worst thing that can happen? I don't get elected. And that's okay.
Yep.
I've got lots of other interests, lots of other passions. And for me, getting in has been an absolute privilege. And I will uphold that privilege right through my tenure. And I feel even if I change or connect, as I said to you this morning, you know, connecting people to the processes of local government and expectations, and particularly with something as big as the city of Bunbury, what is it that we can do better? What is it that we can communicate more? We talked about the community portal. It's a bit of an interest subject of mine, and why people don't know about raising grievances or issues through that portal.
Just for the sake of the value of the community portal, can you give the elevator pitch now for the listener?
Sure. So people in the community, I'd love to see everyone knowing that when they see a pothole or something that they would like to report to the city, jump on the website. In the top toolbar, there is a connection to the community portal.
Right.
Log on. You do need your password and username, but, you know, it's pretty straightforward. And put your issue or your grievance on there. And straight away, that item goes directly to the right department. So as councillors, for us to say, and take calls, which we do a lot, and a lot of emails come through every day, a lot of phone calls, which I'm really grateful that people do reach out. But I'm connecting them to the right system, to the right process, rather than trying to be a hero by saying, oh, yeah, I can fix that for you.
Yeah.
That's actually not our job. We can't fix it per se. What we can do, though, is connect to the community portal. That is then logged with the right department. The right department then has 3 days to acknowledge your email.
Yep.
And all going well, if it's straightforward, it can be fixed in 10 days.
Right.
That's the commitment from the executive director.
Right. So let's play that out as an example.
Yep.
I drive out my road, pothole,
Yep.
website, log in.
I'll take a picture.
Take a picture.
Yep.
Website, log in, let's say on my phone. I have to create an account.
Yep.
Create an account, obviously, and that's just a...
Your email address and your password.
Okay.
Yep.
So
but then once you're logged on, you're logged on.
you have your account,
You
right.
do not have to do it again. Yep.
So then I'm guessing it's along the lines of, I want to report something that falls into this category.
Yeah, there's from memory, there's about 8 or 9 areas.
Okay.
And you would choose that, and then
Yep.
it opens up their department.
Yep.
And then you put
that in. That goes to that representative of that category, and then it turns into something that can be actioned
absolutely
for the city staff.
And it gets logged in the system.
Yep.
So there's no way that it can get lost because it's logged.
Yeah.
And then the email trail of people contacting you is all in the system.
Right.
So then if you're not getting any action, then that's a matter that we can possibly help you with down the track.
Yep.
But this is, from what I understand, this is foolproof. But a lot of people don't know to go onto the portal.
This is a classic example of there was a problem that came up over and over and over. The city sat down and brainstormed, how do we deal with this problem? Made a system. The system is good. The system works, but we have a marketing issue.
Potentially, although it is marketed. I've seen the marketing.
Yeah.
So are people not reading it, or they're not interested until it comes to their time?
Or I'll ask you a question. You own a restaurant?
Yep.
And not enough people coming to your restaurant. So you put an ad in the paper. And you've been running the ad for 6 months and still people aren't coming to the restaurant. What do you do?
You've got to look at yourself, because you might not be running the business the way that you need to be running it.
Or, so your word of mouth isn't working.
Yep.
And the ad in the paper isn't working.
Yes.
Maybe we do an ad on the radio.
Yep.
Maybe we hand out pamphlets. Maybe we get representatives to go tell people. Maybe we put the little coupons in the hotel down the corner. You know, you keep on going. And also 7 touch points. People don't buy anything until they've seen it and trust it 7 times.
Yep.
Right? So, and at the end of the day, the bigger thing that I'm super passionate about is the fact that the city of Bunbury is a business, right?
Yes.
Councils are a business.
Yes.
Councillors' jobs are to make decisions around how they should spend the money that the ratepayers have to pay them, right?
Yeah, it's a strategic oversight. The councillor's job is to govern.
Mm-hmm.
We oversee the CEO.
Yeah.
We ensure that the CEO is running the organisation
Right.
as we have strategically set out.
Yeah.
Our job is not to get involved in the organisation, even though we have opportunities to meet with all the officers. But there is a really, what I'm valuing more than I've ever valued an organisation is the way that they run the process of preparing us for those decisions at the council meetings.
Right.
I didn't realise the depth of work that goes into it. So I'm pretty impressed. I am very impressed, not pretty impressed. I'm very impressed with the level of knowledge, the level of wanting us to be informed.
Yep.
And I think it's our individual as councillors, we have to attend agenda briefings. We have to attend those strategic workshops prior to any council meeting, because those 4 hours, up to 4 hours of information is gold. And we can't profess to go to a council meeting, even though we might have read the agenda, which is, the last one, as I said to you, was 395 pages long. We can't not read that information, number one, but we can't also not be prepared by the officers who wrote those agenda items in readiness for us to make a decision.
Yeah, well, it makes sense, right?
Yeah.
If there's a big task or a big decision or a big thing, like you sort of want to have all the people sitting around discussing that thing before you sit around and make a decision on it.
Totally.
You know, because the problem is if let's say I'm making a project in my business and I give the project to my bookkeeper, I give the project to my production, I give the project to my mentor, and I give the project to me. Well, that project in writing is 4 different stories we've just read.
Exactly.
So when we go to make a decision, well, my bookkeeper's like, well, the numbers say you shouldn't do it. And production's like, well, I think it's a great idea, but it wouldn't work in production this way. And then I'm thinking, well, it's a good idea because from the top looking down, it's going to make more money. It's going to do this, it's going to do that. My mentor's like, this is great. Well, everyone's looking at it from their point of view. And before we can actually make any decision on it, we need to hear from the bookkeeper, why? Why does it not make sense? From production, what do we need to change? Is it engineering? Is it administration? What is it? You know? And then from the mentor, it's like, well, if you were doing each part of this job, that conversation is essential before you can make that decision. Now expand that into something that's going to cost $10 million and it's going to affect the ratepayer. It's going to affect the normal routine of people who live in the town. I want you to be talking about it for 4 hours before you make a decision on it.
Yep.
You know?
And going back to, you know, waste is a big conversation. And, you know, it falls back on that accountability. So we've got next week as part of our council meeting, there's an agenda item which I'm not able to disclose yet, but that is going to be something that the ratepayers will say, well, where was the accountability? And I know that. So I've been delving into that and asking the officers more detail. And I've got the detail.
Yeah.
But it's years of potential, no one really closely watching this.
Yep.
And I know that is something that people expect of us. So when people do come onto council, it isn't a matter of a tick and flick. It isn't a matter of keeping the seat warm. There is serious decisions. And somebody gave me some advice the other day and they said, Julie, just take it from me. You can make a decision that can really affect people's lives.
100%.
Like, take this really seriously. I said, don't worry, I am taking this really seriously.
I got a podcast that nobody really listens to and I change people's lives. I'd hate to think how much responsibility falls on your shoulders when you take it seriously.
Yes.
Which, for full disclosure, like, I don't really care about people's opinions.
Yep.
I'm going to come on here and talk 2.5 hours at a time and just shoot from the hip because that's what this is.
Yep.
If you're doing the job, do the job.
Yep.
Be there.
Totally agree.
Be 100% not concerned about anything else.
Yep.
I want you to be in a flow state of giving a fuck about this town. You have to.
And that's the only reason why I took it on.
Right.
Because and I love that GAS acronym. You know, I give a shit.
Yeah.
Because if I didn't, well, it's not part of my DNA. I just couldn't do it. I'm not a half glass full.
Yeah. No, I know what you're saying.
You know,
not
I'm
a half-assed effort. That's what you're saying.
I'm not that person.
Yeah.
I'm all in.
Yeah.
Or I just don't get involved. And I think, you know, it's it's going to be really interesting. But I feel City of Bunbury is on the cusp of something amazing.
100%. We're right there.
I think that's
what adds fuel to this fire, right?
Yeah.
Because then you go, all right. Like, I feel it. I'm talking to people all the time. I'm out on my push bike every day. I'm looking at things. I'm observing things. I'm having these conversations. And you go, you know what? Now's a really exciting time to be a 33-year-old businessman.
Yeah.
Because there's opportunity everywhere.
Oh, isn't there?
You're watching these young crew come up. And, like, I got an opportunity to talk at the Southwest Community College last week. And the few kids in the room, you're like, I can pick them out as entrepreneurs because they were like, oh my goodness, there's a reality for someone who is an executor like what you're talking about in yourself.
Yep.
There is opportunities out there and they lay in such a weird, unique, creative way that they're waiting for someone to water them and for them to turn into opportunities and you can be the person who waters them, right?
That's exactly right.
They exist, the people, the kids.
Yep.
The opportunities exist and we live in the most fertile place for opportunity right now. We're in it, which is why this election just been, for me, I felt like was like, oh, we're on the cusp of we need a really good mayor. These 4 people that are going to fill those seats, you need to be bad motherfuckers.
Yeah.
You know, like that's what we need at the moment. And having that conversation with you on the phone this morning, I'm just like, yeah. You know, like first thing I said on the phone, you're a councillor, how's that?
Yeah.
And you're just going through like, I've been doing all this reading, I've been doing all this research. Now I'm putting runs on the board and I'm understanding what this all means. And I'm just like, yes, you're earning the dollars that the ratepayers are paying you, right? But before I gas you up too much, let's go back what was it right before community portal? You were saying that you want to see activation of resources that are, one of your missions is to see activation of resources that are already available.
Yes, I think there is a lot of opportunity to connect. So as I mentioned to you, I have a constituent ratepayer. I'm not quite sure what we call them, but say ratepayer. And he's got this amazing idea. Now, before I go in and go to the offices at the city and get, say, economic development area and get them involved in the idea, my question back to him was, have you been to Creative Tech Village, for a want of a better word? Have you been to their hub and have you seen what they do? Because that could dovetail perfectly into your lunch idea.
Yeah.
And now we were meant to meet yesterday, but unfortunately I got held up at another meeting. But that's all well and good because I know we'll still have the conversation. But for me, that's what I've got an interest in, is connecting people. Same with the CBD activation. I'm not the guru, but I knew that I could connect to the commercial realty guy, Dave, who was able to say, well, me asking the question, why aren't there more pop-ups? He said, Julie, I don't know.
Yeah.
There should be pop-ups everywhere. Then when I had the article written about my thoughts in the Bunbury Herald and South West Times, Mike Jenkins, ex-commercial realty, reached out and said, Julie, we did this 10 years ago. I've got all the data.
True.
And all what we did.
And the planning and...
to give you. He said, I'm not looking for a job, but if you want me to be involved, happy days.
Yep.
So by chance, the head of economic development, Karina Docking, sat with Mike Jenkins at the Epicure restaurant at TAFE the other night. Happy days, because they were both talking about that very article in the paper.
Yep.
That I had said we can do pop-ups. And Mike said, well, we've actually done this to Karina, and Karina's team have been looking at ways to activate.
True.
So now we've got two people who've got expertise.
They have the same idea of a great situation.
Pull them
and they
together.
can actually do something.
My job is done.
Yeah.
I've connected.
See, this is speaking to your Chamber of Commerce history.
A little bit, but also that passion and interest to make sure. I did this when I was a business advisor. I was a business advisor for 5 years prior to the chamber job. And that was another part of what I did.
Yeah.
So people would come to me for business advice, but then I on-connected because I wasn't necessarily the expert in every area of the advice they needed.
Right.
So I'd then make sure I connected to an accountant because they wanted taxation advice.
Yep.
Or I would connect them to, for instance, when I worked up in Collie for 18 months, I was seconded by the state government to help businesses understand tourism.
Yep.
And lots of money, as you know, has been given to Collie to transition. And a lot of businesses didn't understand what tourism meant for their business.
Yeah.
And I remember, I'm a creative. I'm also a creative. So I, for instance, needed to win these businesses. I needed to make sure that these businesses really understood the power of tourism.
Yep.
So I hired a bus, 30 people in each for 2 days running. I had uptake from LJ Hooker up in Collie. And I remember talking to the owner of that business and he said, look, I don't really know why I'm coming. I'm a real estate agent, but I'm going to bring my staff along and I want them to see what you have to say. So I took, I think 3 or 4 hours, loaded up with drinks and lollies and got them on the bus and I was the tour guide.
Yeah.
Because I had a fresh lens for Collie. I don't have all the background. I don't even come from this area. But I don't have the background of, Collie people have got 2 heads and whatever the saying is, the Flatlanders and the whole debacle between the two, groups. So I went with this fresh lens, love Collie to bits, love the trails that have been designed. And so I took this bus around. And at the end of it, LJ Hooker said to me, the owner, he said, I had no idea how powerful this was going to be. My staff cannot stop talking about, as real estate agents, why it's important for us to understand tourism.
Yeah.
One, because people want to move here because of the the environment. Two, we get asked a lot about where to go. People just walk in off the street and say, where would you suggest I go for a meal? So he underestimated that connection to a subject or a sector that had nothing really to do with real estate, but it can do. And then he said, but now my staff feel more equipped because we now understand what the visitor centre's role is. Yeah. We now know, we need to go to the council if we need X, Y, Z. And that aha moment for me was I didn't know why I needed to do it. I just knew I needed to do it because I wanted to have people informed.
Yeah.
And it's a bit like in this role now with the council. I said to Jason, it would be just great to maybe bring us all in as councillors and do a little bit of training around. I'd love to go on a bus. I'd love to go to all the areas and look at the I'm not quite sure what it's called, where all the trucks and all the maintenance roads, area, what would that be called again?
The truck laydown area?
Yeah, where all the maintenance people go and, park in the morning and then go off in their work trucks for the day. There's a word. I can't remember. But like
are you talking about the one out at Picton?
Yeah, would it be?
Yeah, it's just a road train laydown area. That's what it is.
Where all the City of Bunbury workers go every morning, get their tools, get their trucks.
All right. So like the maintenance yard type thing. Yeah, all right. Also, that rings like obvious, right?
So I'd love to go out and I'd love to know that type of, because I'm an information gatherer. I like to be informed so that if somebody does ask me a question, I don't just go, I'm just going to go and see the council about that, see the work, the officers. I want to be able to circumnavigate the waste of time by saying, I'm actually informed. I know that this is, like, for instance, another person came to me about a bus stop.
Yep.
Well, bus stops are not actually handled by the City of Bunbury. They're handled by Transport Authority.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. So as a councillor, if I didn't know that, I would have gone and hopefully I would have suggested they go on the community portal. Then they would have got an email back saying, unfortunately, that's the Public Transport Authority's remit. Here's the contact details for them. So that information that we need to gather, I think, is more important than ever.
Yeah.
To know what our city's doing. I went and had a briefing with the finance team yesterday for an hour and a half.
Yep.
I mean, that is gold.
Yeah.
So when people say to me, whatever question it might be, I certainly haven't had one on finance yet, and I'm probably not going to, I would imagine. But if I do, then I'm more informed to let them know.
You know what it sounds like, though? It sounds like you're a businesswoman.
Does it?
Yes, in the best possible way. Because, I'm in the 5th year of the growth phase of my business, and I quite often dedicate like 2 days to a week to actually, most recently, like the biggest one was 2 months of literally 8 hours a day, not doing the business.
Yep.
Working on the business.
Yes.
Right? And all you do is you go, get the right people around me. Yep. Give me the phone number I need to call. Put me on the website. Let me ask the right question to ChatGPT. Give me the video off YouTube and let me hyper-focus on this so I understand. Because if I don't understand, we're in a dark room playing darts.
Yes.
Right?
That's exactly right.
And I think something that is sort of like bouncing around in my head at the moment is, obviously the power of saying no is super important. The more things you say no to allow you to say yes to the right things more often.
Yeah, whereas I'm really bad at that. I say yes to most things.
But what I'm hearing is you're actually saying no to things that could be answered yes somewhere else more effectively. Hey, can I report a pothole to you?
Yep.
No, you can report it to the community portal. Now, what that does is we just saved 20 minutes of your time.
Yep.
So now when the next person comes along, Julie, I've got this idea. And it's something that is not heard by council before, and all of a sudden, instead of going like, just wait, can I give you a call back? We'll get back to that. Energy, attention over here on something that it does matter, but it's not your problem.
Yes.
As a councillor.
Yes.
And then person X who comes to you and says, I got this great idea about city activation that maybe you've never heard before. Great. I'm yours. I'm going to say yes to this.
Yes.
Right? Now, I mentioned this earlier when we were talking on the phone. I hate saying that because, it's like it's not personal to the listener, but whatever, breaking the fourth wall. you're like, where was I? Saying no. I shouldn't have referenced myself in the third person. Now I've lost my train of thought. Give me a second. Yeah, saying no to the right things. It's completely gone. Wow.
We'll come back to it.
I haven't had that happen in so long. Nah, hang on. Let me get it. Okay, let's stop right there for a moment. Today's podcast is proudly brought to you by Bahlu Coffee Bar. They are my favourite coffee shop in town to stop in, have a chat, check in with a crew that are always happy to see me. They've got great coffee. They've got great food. One of my favourite food options is either the ham and cheese toastie or the brekkie wrap, of course, both of which have been reviewed on my Instagram page. Go check that out. We've actually collaborated at the moment on a super fun tee. There's an illustration of the shop front. It's got the words My Local and then like Bahlu BLXCK INK collab. Super fun. They're available in the cafe and also on my website, so check that out. If you want to go get yourself a coffee, brekkie wrap, or ham and cheese toastie, or anything delicious that they offer, they've also got acai. Find them at 62A Beach Road and tell them that Jake from BLXCK INK sent you. Anyway, back to the podcast. When you're in business, if you say yes to the wrong things over and over and over, you fail. But if you say no to the things that don't matter so you can say yes to the things that do, you succeed. And if by chance you learn enough along that trajectory, you can succeed so much that you can have everything you've ever dreamt of, right?
Yep.
The actual structure of business is such a beautiful, like, similarity to the structure of life that if you continue pushing and asking, can we? Is it possible? Should we? Let's do it. Let's learn from it. Did it work? Yes, do it more. No, do it less, right? It's a perfect structure for growing your character as a person. And if you can align those two things, you get success in both realms, which really just benefit each other. You become a better parent. You become a better child. You become a better friend. You become a better business owner. You become a better cook. You become better at your hobby because you understand the process, right?
Exactly.
Now, I want to correlate this alongside with being a counsellor. And let's say your experience, your claim to fame is you're a parent, or you used to work a normal 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, right? The experience of do or die, sink or swim, isn't the same as someone who's weathered the storm of being a business owner, right? So I think your value of time and your value of the power of saying no and your value of needing to know that information so you can be informed and you can answer those questions as they come in is so much more significant, and that's what makes you a good person for the job.
Yeah, efficiency. Absolutely. I think that is my driver, and that goes right back to my early beginning. You know, on the farm, you've got to put a crop in, or you've got to shear sheep, or you've got, like, it's all timed.
Yeah.
I worked in hospitality in my early 20s, and I used to work for a big event management company, fresh out from London. You know, it was a really exciting job. I used to work at some really cool events like the America's Cup.
Oh, wow.
Big event, like amazing. And again, doing that role, it was all about timing and efficiency. And because everything's down to the last minute.
Yeah.
And I think I've held that throughout my life, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I do think that, and bringing it back to the counsellor role, is that efficiency, for me, for the sake of efficiency, is one thing, but being efficient to save everybody's time is what is really exciting for me, because I see how hard that counsellors work, how the officers work to prepare just for all my questions that I gave them on a Sunday, and the executive directors, 3 of them, sent it off to their staff, and by Monday I had answers. Now, that was not expected.
It's also beautiful.
Yeah. They were really wanting to help me, support me, knowing this was my very first week. And I just complimented the directors, saying, you know, your team went over and above. And because planning and amendments to scheme is not my background at all.
Yeah.
And I don't profess to have that background. But I'm willing to learn, and I've got guides, I've got frameworks, but I also know that I've got a whole team of people who can help educate me.
Yeah.
And so I've already got meetings through one of the directors with all his managers over the next week. just to know more about their area, and so that, again, I'm informed, again, so that when I come to briefings, I can ask good questions, hopefully, and that I'm not wasting their time because I haven't read anything or I haven't turned up to a meeting. If I start doing that, I couldn't do my role well, which I would struggle.
Sounds like you got integrity. Tell me, what's in your, from your perspective, what's the role of a councillor?
The role of a councillor is to oversee the organisation, not dissimilar to a board role, really. Yeah. You are. It's the direction, the strategic direction of a council is overseen by the councillors, the mayor and the councillors. That's. I mean, the mayor's the front face of the organisation for sure. He's the PR man. Jason does that brilliantly. Yeah. And we as councillors, together with the mayor and the CEO, we set the strategic direction. We set and oversee the governance. Yeah. So we've got to make sure, for instance, I'm on the Finance and Audit and Risk Committee.
For the city?
Yep. For the city. So I've just nominated myself and I won a position on that committee.
Are all those committees, has all the voting and that been done?
No, just that one. We had to get that one in last week at the special meeting.
Because of the timeliness of the...
That's right.
Okay.
So that had to be done, but the rest of the committees are all up for... I want to put my hat in the ring for quite a few. Yeah. Only because I'm interested. Yeah. Not because I want to, again, I don't want to be a martyr, but I do. I've got the time. I did retire.
What's a martyr?
A person who just thinks that they have to do it.
Oh, okay.
You know, who I've got to do this job. But I don't really have time.
Like an assumption almost.
You know, or just playing that little bit of victim. You know, this is my role, but have I got time really to do it?
So it's got the flavour of like almost a resentment assumption.
Possibly. Yeah.
Interesting. Sorry, continue. Yeah, those. So there's one committee that I didn't know anything about boards and committees and anything, and in the past 3 weeks I've been invited onto a board and suggested for 2 committees. I'm like, all right.
I put you forward for one.
Did you?
Yes.
Oh, that was the board just recently. Yeah. Ask her about what the conversation was on the phone. I'm like, so what do I have to do in that?
Well, I said, I think you need to ring Jake Kerr because I think...
That's right. It was you.
It was me,
yeah. Yeah. And the committees they are like 100%, like it sounds like something I would love to be part of that conversation.
That's why I suggested you, because I said this man's got, the integrity that's needed, but one is the opportunity to help youth. You know, it's a win-win. Yeah. Anyway.
Unfortunately, it falls back onto the saying yes and no at the right time. Because, I mean, as you probably know, like I've been suggested to run for council twice now, and like in another 2 years, I imagine I'll have that pressure more so. But, you know, the reason that my business is doing what it's doing now is because I said no to those things then. You know, and unfortunately, I'm no good to anyone if I'm eating bread for dinner. You know what I mean? Like, meaning if I can't afford to make ends meet, then what good am I in council? Yeah. You know? And going back to council potentially being the same as business, you don't want someone who hasn't made it work.
Well, that's interesting. And not all my businesses worked. So I don't want to sit here and profess to be that I've been this amazing businesswoman. I've had successes, absolutely, but I've also had failures.
Yeah.
Now, those failures are the things that propel me.
That's right.
That conversation with that woman in the organisation that I worked for in my early 20s that I was an absolute cow to defined me for the rest of my life.
Correct.
To build women up.
Yeah.
And I think the same with my failure in my business. On one hand, I looked like, and this is a cafe in West Perth, so it was humming. And I had competition of 14 other cafes in West Perth. It was in the heyday. Yeah. And in 2007, and people would queue out the door to wait to be served. Yeah. The food was that good.
Amazing.
Because I wanted fresh food. I wanted food made on the premises. I wanted lots of salads, lots of really healthy food. Yeah. So I was the only one doing that. And, you know, my personality is that I'm I like serving people. Yeah. And food is my part of my give, and that was what I represented. So, but interestingly, I had an amazing business from the front face, but behind the scenes, it was a nightmare.
That's most of them, isn't it?
Yeah, possibly. But the things, again, what I learned from that business was I then became a business advisor, because I then gave back to the people to say, have you got your cash flow forecaster?
Yeah, yeah.
Do you know what before you start a business, a lot of people, get their ABN and get their name. That's the first thing they do. And I say to them, have you done your research on whether or not there is a gap in the market for your business?
Yeah.
No, I don't know how to do that. Okay, well, let's investigate that. Now, the reason why I did that, I ended up buying this business in West Perth at a time when I was just destined to always own a cafe.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've always wanted to do that, as a lot of people do. What they don't realise is how much work. And obviously Liam and Corey, having them on recently, there is so much work behind the scenes that people don't know. And I remember the lady that bought my cafe, she lasted a year. Yeah. She didn't realise that it was starting at 5 and finishing at 10 at night.
Yeah.
She didn't realise that I'm still sitting up waiting for the tea towels to dry in the dryer at home, ready to take them in the next morning, because I actually didn't have enough in my budget to go in and outsource washing tea towels and aprons.
Yeah.
But going on from that, I think, that financial management, I took my eye off the ball because I was so front-facing and so operational. We've said this before, I was working in the business. I wasn't working on the business.
Yeah.
So a big lesson to me.
Yeah.
And so consequently, again, that defined me. And for the rest of my life, from that time when I sold the business, that was my way of giving back because of what I learned. And why I don't want people to make the same mistake I made, which was keep an eye on your finances.
Yep.
Don't trust, your percentages are important in cafes. And if you don't work to a 30%, 30%, 30%, 30% staff, 30% products, and 30% for the rest of the costs, I think my rent was something like 12%, and I think you should be operating at around 8%.
Yeah, 7-8% typically, yeah.
Yep. I was running at 12%. Huge. West Perth, in its heyday, I think my rent was something like $70,000 a year.
Huh. Yeah, at the time would have been crazy.
So there's lots of learnings, and I think that learning then, like the minute I met Liam and Corey, for instance, in their little van next to the swamp, I was down there like a flash. And, how are you guys going? And I'm so excited for you. And, they were green. Yeah. Like this was their first gig, and like to watch them to become who they are today is just so exciting to watch their journey.
100%.
And I think that's what I also feel with me is that this isn't about me being a counsellor. I, in fact, seeing my, whatever the posters around and my flyers, it actually isn't me, but I know that you have to do that.
Yeah.
One, to have a presence to a point. But for me, I think it was built on relationships. I think it's people going, you know what, we trust her.
Yeah.
She's authentic, and we know that she's going to get shit done.
Yeah, for sure.
However that is, however that looks.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And whether it's connecting people, as we've talked about, making it more efficient in terms of that comms side of things.
Yep.
And being, I guess, having that new lens.
Yeah, yeah. You definitely, you have, your biggest strength is your biggest weakness at the moment in that you're green. That allows you to come in and say, why does that happen that way?
Yeah.
Okay, wouldn't it make sense to, right?
Yeah,
you can have all those moments because you do. You become jaded the longer you're in a situation. You build your neural pathways and you stick to them, right? Like I had Liam and Corey come around yesterday and we brainstormed the business for 3 hours and they gave me like 3 golden nuggets where they're like, why don't you do this on your website? And I'm like, oh, because I'm an idiot. That's why. Because I made it in a rush and I never looked back at it. Yeah, okay, I'll do that. So that your position right now, which is coming in going like, well, why don't we have the community portal? Why does no one know about it? They're like, well, we put it on our Facebook page. We do this and we do that. Now's a good time to go, well, why don't you invest $5,000 into some content that people actually communicate with?
And the other thing that I'm questioning is 30% of people vote across West Australia.
That's bizarre.
Lowest, I think, was about 22%. Mm-hmm. My question is why? Why do we only have, and I think City of Bunbury was 27%. Mm-hmm. What are we not doing that we don't have people that are interested, even though we're making decisions on their behalf in their region, in their area, to ensure that their livability is exactly what they want. And yet people, I even talked to my brother recently and he said, I've never voted in local government. I was aghast. And I said, but he said, well, I don't even know who our councillors are in where he is located.
Yeah, because we live in good times. Because the worst thing that happens to people is that their rates go up.
Yep.
And what actually happens is they just go without Netflix or they go without, 3 takeout meals a week. They go down to 1.
Yeah.
That's what happens.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? Now, if you go back a generation or two, the worst thing that can happen is you go to war. Your dad dies. Your brother, you die.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And that's when you go, hang on, life is about more than going to work. Life is about more than having a fucking 79 series. Yeah. Sorry for swearing so much. It just comes out of me, Life is about more than that, and I want to have some sort of control about what's going on. And that was an actual place that you could go to the town hall, you could stand next to your neighbours and you could put your hand up and say, I don't like this, or we want this to happen, and it would happen. Unfortunately now, the greatest amount of control someone has is a comment they leave on Facebook, right? And they can do that while they're sitting there 3 cans deep after they finish a job after finishing a job that they don't enjoy doing, living in a house that they can't afford, And I go on about this all the time in podcasts because it is the modern reality. Most people are living these lives that they actually kind of don't like, but they can't really do anything about it because this just is the way it is. And also, you think I'm going to go down to the council offices on a Tuesday and sit there and listen to you guys rabbit on about stuff I don't understand half the words?
No, exactly.
It's not contextual.
No.
It's not digestible.
No.
And I think one of the coolest things that I've seen in recent history is this idea that Jason's doing like a debrief.
Yes, love it.
Love it. Now it's like, all right, that needs to be in more places than just where Jason is posting on his organic Facebook, because unfortunately now you're only getting in front of people who are A, on Facebook, and B, follow him.
Yes.
So now you go, right, I don't know what the answer to these questions is, but I know what the questions need to be.
Yep.
How do we communicate this message the most effective way possible? And doing even a 6-week campaign is not going to give you the answer. It literally needs to happen ongoing.
Yeah, in fact, when I because I didn't knock on people's doors, and
good, don't do that.
And
people don't want their doors knocked on.
It's really interesting because I hear that a lot.
Yeah.
But the older generation, because my partner and 8 other volunteers, we walked and dropped off, not to people's doors, but into their letterboxes, 4,000 flyers of mine. I only chose 4,000 flyers. I don't know why. I just picked that number. No reason, no nothing. I know that there's probably 19,000 that I probably should have printed. But what we did do was when we were walking, we met a lot of people, whether they were gardening or whether they were in their garage. And they, oh, hi, what have you got there? Oh, I've just got my flyer, Nope, not interested. Or, oh, so tell me a little bit about yourself. But when my partner, and he did it something like 133,000 steps, he talked to a lot of people. I call him Mr. Have a Chat because he loves chatting to people. But more importantly, he actually knows how to ask the question, and just said, what do you think about council? And said, well, we don't really know who to vote for. We don't know them. So that's also got me thinking about some ideas to be a little bit more visible. And I know that Jason and the councillors previously have had these community catch-ups every 3 months that fell by the wayside. So I'm going to ask about that. I even thought about the Christmas festival float idea, to have a really fun float and just have us all literally on a truck.
Yeah.
These are your City of Bunbury current councillors. Just so people can go, oh, I've seen that lady. Oh, I've seen that man. Oh, but have a bit of fun with it, not just be boring and sit on a truck. But, we could do something really fun, like humanise us.
Yeah.
And can we get out and meet lots of people? I try and go to a lot of things.
Yeah.
But I also then don't want the people to think, oh, she just goes to the opening of an envelope. But in a way, yes, I have to take that. But also I actually go to things because I care. Like I went to the AGM at Milligan. Yeah. So excited.
Yeah.
That vibrancy, what they're doing at that organisation for the community is just unbelievable.
Yeah, but this is like, Ben Andrew now was great at that.
Yes.
He was at everything.
Yep.
You know, I go to a handful of things. I'll probably go out on Thursday, Friday, Saturday night about a dozen times a year, if I'm honest. I love being home.
Yep.
Every time I go somewhere, the motherfucker's there. He's there, and he's talking to everyone. And you're like, that's what I want a counsellor to be.
Yes.
Because I think the hard sell of, I'm a counsellor, what can I do for you? Please tell me, is not as telling as, hey, how are you? Yeah. Oh, have you been to this event before? What do you think of last year's? And all of a sudden they're going like, oh yeah, it's not bad. Fucking potholes on the way here were bad though.
That's it, the old potholes.
Right?
Yeah.
Because I feel like that organic conversation that happens when you're just a person to person, not a counsellor to it. Because unfortunately, there is the shadows of like, antagonist, protagonist, whichever way they're going to organically view you as, because you're of this powerful position of being a counsellor. Well, you're the reason the potholes exist. Yeah. You're the reason that the bad thing is happening, or you're the reason we might get an artificial reef. You're the reason that we might see this development we want to have happen. You're the reason my kid is enjoying their experience as a child in this town, or city, I should say. Yeah. So I think maybe that, like, I'm thinking out loud here, but that conversation, as far as like it being a conversation and not like a semi-interview of what do you want to have happen.
Yep.
And Ben was really good at that.
Yeah, he was. Yep.
I mean, the reason that I know Ben is because he came to my social skates and was like, I want to be a part of it. And you're like, cool. And then, you get 2 weeks in, he's like, oh yeah, I'm a counsellor. Hang on, well, you say you're a counsellor? What is that? And such was the beginning of my fascination with counsellors, But even
I'm excited to see young people come on, I have to say.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm really excited.
Yeah.
I think it's it can be cool. I don't think it needs to be that sort of staid, a bit like what I like and what the Chamber, the Chamber of Commerce was very, even though there's still a lot of work to do, Chamber of Commerce is historically, all for the privileged end of town and, privileged white men back in the day. Whereas now that landscape's changing.
Yeah, for sure.
It is really changing. And is it changing fast enough? Maybe not. But it's still being inclusive to whether it be young people in business, whether it be women in business, whether it's for purpose, that was a whole new game because people didn't realise that for purpose organisations still have to run a business. They might be not-for-profit, which is their tax status, but they still run a business.
For sure.
And a lot of big businesses are involved.
Yeah.
So it's really fascinating to see, what people – I noticed someone's comment on my – when I did my sort of overview of my week that was, and somebody wrote, just keep counsellors, they do their job – they don't do their job, or they do their job, or something that was sort of putting down counsellors. And I'm going, that's the person I want to have a coffee with.
Yeah.
I want to say, tell me about your experience.
Yeah.
Tell me why it is that you think that counsellors don't do anything. What is that?
Yeah. You have a mature empathy that I don't have.
Yeah. Whereas some would say, don't waste your time. But I'm curious with human psyche. I'm curious to why people want to bag, and it goes back to that whole value system of mine. Why do you want to bag out somebody that you don't know?
Yeah.
Why would you want to just put, whether it be me, whether it be any other counsellor, in a whole pot of what might have happened to you 20 years ago?
Yeah.
I love during my campaign how many people rang me just to have a conversation.
Yeah.
I love that. Just tell me about yourself. Tell me who you are. Why are you doing this? And I thought, wow, if more people did that, then, well, and I had a lot because I guess, I was an unknown really, other than maybe through the Chamber, maybe a little bit up in Collie. But, I've only my partner and I only moved here 6 years ago.
Okay, from Perth.
I moved from Fremantle, yeah.
Yeah.
Doug lived in Harvey, so when we got together, I did a lot of commuting because I still ran an organisation in Perth. But I moved to Harvey for 18 months, and then we thought, we need to be close to the oceans.
Yeah.
Moved across
Good
here.
Call.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Doug was with elders, so he sold farms, so he could move wherever.
Beautiful, yeah.
Wherever he could.
It's a long drive regardless of where you live.
Yeah, and we're both beach lovers, and to move over here was just the best for me. And, straight away got onto a board, which was the Chamber board, as the Women in Business lead. And within a month, I was applying for the job.
You spoke at the beginning of the podcast about emotional maturity. And emotional intelligence is a huge aspect of life that affects all of us. And a lot of people, you know, a good portion of the population go a lot of their life and never address emotional maturity. You know, they throw things around the house and punch holes in walls because I was angry, you know. You sort of created a bit of an example there of this person who maybe commented something suggesting that this is something that hurt them 20 years ago and it's something that they continue to project onto you now because you're the public punching bag. You know, you're the person, we'll stuff you. You did that to me 20 years ago.
Yeah, that's it.
I think a lot of the front-facing problems that we experience, and it's easy to identify a problem, right? It's hard to come up with a solution that is feasible, that makes sense, that's contextual. I think the underlying problem, and this also speaks to a little bit of the fact that we do live in such easy times, is the critical thinking, emotional intelligence, sort of like character building parts of life don't exist anymore because it is so easy. Because, you know, you don't go out and get a job at 14 anymore. You identify as a cat and everyone encourages you.
Yes.
You know? I'm not asking you as a counsellor. I think I'm just asking you as a person. How do you feel about that? And do you think there's a solution to that problem?
Well, I think actually it goes back to that self-reflection, doesn't it? It comes back to, I mean, a lot of people might think that I'm in a privileged position, and I am. Today, I can honestly say, hand on heart, I'm in a privileged position. I'm with a beautiful partner. I live in a beautiful home. I have beautiful children. I have beautiful stepchildren, if you like. We've got a family of 6 with 11 grandchildren. I couldn't be happier.
Awesome.
But I only got here because of, and who probably more about who I am today is because of adversity.
Right.
Is what I went through in my lifetime. Death, loss, fires, just so many things that have defined me. And people say to me often, how on earth have you got through? And I said, probably because of inbuilt resilience, and I think that's in my DNA from my parents and from my background, from my formative years. But it's about, and I will get to the answer of what I'm thinking, it's about being accountable. It's about me saying, I own that shit.
Yeah.
I'm not about to project onto anyone else, and I haven't done this for years now, and particularly, I've worked hard on myself. Like, I've worked extremely hard. I can't even tell you how much money I've spent on myself to be a better person, to show up every day. I was forced to show up every day as a single mother of 3 children. I was forced to confront things that I never thought I would have to confront as a person in personal relationships. And I think that there was no one else to blame. There was, for me, it was about, well, what can I was almost not even forced, but I had to ensure that I had to get up every day. I had 3 mouths to feed. And I didn't have any support at that stage. My mother had died. My dad had gone off with another woman who, I don't know what happens to men when their wife dies, but, he was just let all of us go. And not having that person who was my champion, that defined me as well, because I knew I was alone. I knew I had to make this, however it was going to work out. And so I think, to answer your question, is it's about that, that accountability for yourself and stop making other people the problem.
Yeah.
It's about bringing it back to you. What have you done here? What have you contributed, or how have I made this happen? And it's interesting to have this reflection, as I said earlier, about the way I treated this woman when I was in my 20s. I mean, I was a bitch. I was absolutely full-blown. And, just to know that, and I've said to the ladies the other night, I wish that I could remember her surname. I remember her first name, because I've carried that all my life because I wanted to apologise. Yeah. I apologised internally, of course, but I haven't done it externally to her. And I'm the first person to ring somebody up and just go, you know what?
Have the conversation, yeah.
I acted below the line.
Yeah.
I like to operate above the line. I said that to a fellow councillor when a few things were being passed around about she said, I said, you said, we said. And I said, I have to tell you, as a councillor, the one thing that I won't be doing is operating below the line.
Yeah, yeah.
That is not who I want to be.
Yeah.
If I go there, I want to be told,
Yeah.
you know, but I pride myself on operating above the line.
Yeah. Oh, I can't wait to watch one of the council meetings streaming and you just be like, I will say fuck you to your face right now.
So, you know, it's an interesting space. I do come with a richness. I absolutely think I do. So maybe richness is a better word than powerful.
Yeah.
For me.
Yeah.
Because I'd like to think that I'm more than just being power, but I do take your point about what that might mean, about owning my power. I think I like that as well.
Yeah, well, again, I guess probably falls back to a person's experience with people of power in their life as to how they see the word power.
Yep.
But let's not get off topic. How do you, what's the catalyst in creating that awareness in someone you think that would put them in a situation where they can have these internal thoughts that you're talking about?
Well, we talked about this the other night because I gave to the women that were in the room at Swish, and there was about 8 or 9 there, and I said to them, what can we do as women to call out bad behaviour? And that was a challenge that I gave each of them, and I think we can do that anywhere in life, whether it be domestic violence, whether it be in boardroom situations, whether it be in business, colleagues, is actually calling out the behaviour. And my thinking is not to be nasty about it, but is to say and bring it back to yourself. This is the way I felt when you said X, Y, Z. Because I think if we point the finger and, you know, want to blame or want to project our stuff, then it really doesn't hit the mark. Whereas if we bring it back to ourselves to say, this is the way I felt, I think that's so powerful.
Yeah.
Because, like, if you said something to me or I said something to you and it's like, yeah, turn it around and just ask that question. This is the way I felt when you said X, Y, Z. It's not...
Yeah, I mean, it's like the sort of thing where, you know, you call someone retarded and then someone's like, can you not do that? I've got a sibling that's Down syndrome, and you're like, oh, well, now I have a compassion for your situation. I understand that you feel differently than my other mates who don't have that in their life.
Yes.
A very basic analogy.
But lived experience of something that resonated.
Right. Yeah. And it's like, you know, while words don't hurt people, it's people's reaction to the words that they internally agree with. That's what hurts them, right? But if you've had that conversation with yourself that you don't like that word and I don't know it, and I speak it around you and you go, look, man, can you, like, I get it, but like it does something to me.
Yes.
Well, it's so much easier for me to go like, oh, sure. Like, okay, cool. Like, I'm probably still going to say it, just I'm going to try not to do it around you because I'm me, you're you. But if you, instead of that, say, hey, dickhead, don't use that word. No, it's not on. It's not
quite
on.
confronting, isn't
it's
it?
like, well, now I'm calling you that more often because you're being that. I'm sorry, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's really interesting, that reflection. And I even know, like, interpersonally dealing with conflict, I always, I take responsibility for everything good and bad that happens in my life. If you see me driving a Porsche in 2 years, it's because I made it. Yeah. I did it for me, you know? Like, I did all the stuff to get to that point, and you've had that experience. If you see me, you know, on the street in 2 years' time, that's also my fault.
Yes.
You know, I may not have liked all the environments and situations that led me to making the poor decisions that resulted in me being in that situation, but it ultimately is on me.
Yes.
You know, I think it's the same as the other side of the coin in the situation when you get to have that thing of saying, look, this happened, and regardless of whose fault it is, this is how it left me feeling. I'm taking responsibility for that feeling because I'm deciding that when that emotion speaks to me, I listen to it and I'm letting myself characterize that emotion physically.
Yep.
And with that, I'm letting you know, don't do that around me because it upsets me.
No, that's
right.
True. Yep.
And it really puts the other person in a position to go like, well, okay, first question is, do I care about you? Because if I don't care about you, then you can feel however you want. I'm going to keep saying the word, right? Or if I do care about you, I didn't know that, or I did know that and I didn't realize it affected you. Like, it starts that whole conversation of like, okay, cool. I do care about you. And I'm going to not do that in the future. Even though I think it's the right thing for me, it's the wrong thing for you. And that allows me. And like, you know, you want to talk about, I feel like I'm in a powerful relationship with my fiance. I believe that we have the best ongoing conversation that you can possibly have. We spend all day, every day together for years. And we get along like we're bloody best mates in high school. And it's because when we have these conflicts, it's understanding like, tell me why, like, okay, you feel that way. Why do you feel that way? Because I had this experience. Well, tell me about that experience. And then you learn about that experience and then you realize, oh, I've said this like 5 times before in the time we've been going out. And every time she's responded, okay, I'm starting to see a bigger picture. And then you have that across different genres of your life or different topics and you start to get this better picture of who she is.
Yes.
Now I can love you better by leaning into the things that work and away from the things that don't. Another business thing, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And it's that, like that conversation of it, relies on you being aware because you have to realize that you're responding to an emotion and characterizing it in the moment. That's an awareness. And then it relies on them having an awareness of going like, oh, I have free will. I can go left or right at the roundabout and I'm going to go left if I know it suits you, then better than going right. Yeah. Yeah. Went on a tangent then, eh?
Well, it's good because I'm self-reflecting, you know, as you're talking about that. And it's really, as I am getting into my older years, you know, there is a responsibility for us to guide and be that not outward coach, but that inward coach to people, you know, that allow that self-reflection. And I think that's sort of what we were, you know, we started this area talking about was that you asked me, I think, how can I help people to come to this?
Yeah, evoke that
point.
Awareness.
And I think it is that just by staying strong and using your word, staying in my own power or staying without getting involved in the emotion of the other person, I think that is a really good thing to do, is a powerful thing to do as an elder, if you like, in the community.
For sure.
Is to be that you don't have to be the knowledge, you don't have to be the answer to everything. You don't have you just have to be. I come back to authentic, and I like your word integrity. I think integrity is just so good, and so to me, if we had more integrity in our community as a whole, I think that goes back to what we started off saying about that building people up, whether it be women, whether men, children. I don't mind who it is. Just everyone, bring us together. Bring us, you know, as a community. I think that would be my ideal world. Very naive, absolutely.
Yeah, I think as unrealistic as it might be, I think having super ambitious future potential is always the best way to look forward. Yeah. Because if you go, you know, like you're in business and you're aiming to just survive, well, best case scenario, you just survive. But if you're aiming for total world domination, I want to have everything, all the money, all the customers, all the stuff. Well, even if you land halfway, you're still better than just surviving.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
Exactly.
The question that I wanted to ask you is, given that you're just starting this journey, at the very minimum, all going well, or all going to plan, you have at least 4 years of doing this job. I'm not sure about your ambition. We can talk about that later as far as like how many terms you want to serve and how effective you think you can be over an extended period of time. What do you think would be your sort of like 1 to 3 things you want to have happen in Bunbury, 3 areas of improvement right now for Bunbury?
I would like to have a lot more integrative signage and awareness of where things are.
Okay.
I think when you come to a town and a city, from my personal experience is I like reading about the history. I think Bunbury's got such a rich history, and I'd love to see Heritage Trail. I'd love to be able to walk and read signs telling me about, you know, like when you look at Memories of Bunbury site and you see all of the yesteryear. Yeah. That just fascinates me.
It's very cool.
Fascinates me.
Yeah.
Seeing pictures of the train coming in from Burracup for your weekly shopping. once a week. Like that to me, I know that there's no longer the train, but where could that, and maybe one of the towns have got an activation in the train station, you probably would know more than me, but, you know, is there opportunities for us to have a lot more interactive signage? Cycling's a fantastic sport here.
Yeah.
We cycle every weekend. We go sort of leave here, go down to the beach and then ride around the Leschenol Inlet, have a coffee, chat to people. You know, that takes us about an hour and a half to 2 hours as a slow pace.
On a Saturday morning, it's absolutely ripper.
It is the best. I would love to see massive installations if I had my wish list. That's what you asked me. Yep. I would love to see massive installations out on the outer harbour.
Okay.
Because I think there's an opportunity that when people come to visit, there's lots of things going on, but does it all come together as a story? And it's getting there.
Yeah.
But I think having big installations that are out on the outer harbour that people come, and I'm thinking Cortine steel that you can see through. So there might be a face. That beautiful one of the Aboriginal elder down at Cabana Bay.
Yeah, awesome.
Bigger than that.
Yeah.
But even more see-through.
Yeah.
So that the light, when the light comes up in the east, you've got that reflection. But when it's setting in the west, you've also got this amazing photography opportunity.
Yeah, yeah.
Can you imagine standing on Cabana Bay, looking out, and there's these incredible installations? That would be just... I love public art.
Yeah.
Waterways, I think we've underutilised the waterways. I'd love to see many more boat cruises going up to the Collie River, I love the fact that Dolphin Discovery have got their cruises going out to the Cut. I'd love to see more on the Leschenol Inlet, like those picnic boats, barbecue boats that you hire.
Yeah.
Go out for the night, have a beautiful picnic, get back in. And, just those ones that you've got the round where people sit, have a barbecue on the boat, off they go. I think there's
yeah. I'm with you.
A lot of activation.
I feel like that sort of stuff is like it's literally just a marketing budget to get influencers from Perth down here to do it.
Oh, it is. It's all there, and there's opportunities for. I know that when the Bicentennial Square finally is finished, that is really going to connect a lot of activation.
Yep.
But that needs to be funded, so it's at early stages. Even though the concept plans are drawn, that's certainly hasn't been finalised, and there isn't that hasn't been funded yet.
Yep.
There's 500,000, I think, that's been put towards a lot of this pre-work, but there's an opportunity, a huge opportunity to really activate that space. And then, are they my three things? I think, certainly installations, art installations, waterways, a lot more activity, and can I have four?
Yeah.
Lighting down the main street, and I was involved in some of this and seeing the work that Peter Jago did.
Okay.
Incredible.
Is that the most recent lighting projects within Bunbury?
I think there was a budget that I saw or read for 250,000, but I haven't gone into that anymore. So I don't know if that's the same project, but I would like to know. I didn't realise, and I don't know if you are aware, but the architecture in Bunbury, there's a lot of Art Deco buildings along Victoria Street. And so Peter Jago did this design of lighting up the Art Deco buildings.
Right.
So you know how they've done Bolter Heights? Yeah. So incredible. Looks beautiful.
It's awesome.
Bring more of that. The Cabana Bridge, I'm not sure of the bridge that's called between Flow 36 and the Yacht Club, but that bridge.
Unreal.
The fact that it can change to events and colours, whether it be Reconciliation Day, it can be orange, red and black, or yellow, whatever the colours, red and black.
Yeah.
Or it can go to whatever.
Yeah.
And
also like immediately an iconic.
Oh.
Yeah.
The skate park itself, having that in the colours it has.
Yeah.
Like, that sets us apart from anyone else in the whole of WA, that we've got this incredible lighting installations. So to activate Victoria Street to me, it's there for the taking. It's something that can be activated very quickly. The Art Deco buildings are, like, if you look up next time you're walking along Victoria Street, just look at
Yeah, it is amazing. I've always thought that it's sort of one of those things. Riding my push bike, usually I work off peripheral vision.
Yes.
I don't like turn my head to look at roundabouts. I'm always just sort of like staring up, and you're like, the buildings above the buildings are all nuts here, and no one knows.
Yep.
You know, there's so many people.
A lot of empty,
Yeah.
Potentially. And I did speak to one business owner who does own above his shop. He owns the building there. And I said to him, have you ever thought about, turning it into accommodation? How cool would that be in a city living? And he said we did, and it was just cost prohibitive for our old building.
Right.
So, there's those challenges and barriers, absolutely. But, I really like the idea of infill. That is,
yeah, there's definitely a. I want to go back to the pop-up concept, and like I'm purely speaking as Mr. Black Ink. I'm not speaking as someone who has experience in. Well, I don't have experience in council, but let's pretend I don't have any of that knowledge. It doesn't make sense that you've got someone who is somewhat like, I have my own heartbeat in my community. Like I've done events before. I'm like, I'm doing this at this time, and you have 200 people come.
Yep.
It doesn't make sense that this sounds so naive. Let's preface this with, this sounds dumb, all right? I don't understand why the city hasn't come to me and said, do something and we'll support it. Just do something. Take the podcast out of it. Let's not pretend I don't have a voice, but go and do it. Like, you make clothes, right? You design and make clothes. Mm-hmm. Make some cool clothes. We'll cover your rent. Just rent, right? And maybe insurance. Go and pop up for 6 weeks in town, 5 hours a day, especially the weekends, and just sell Bunbury merch, right? Because that's something that's fully possible.
Totally.
And it's something that would completely add value to Bunbury. It would completely add value to my business.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
And also, like, I'm looking to do cool shit for Bunbury.
Great. So the first thing, as a councillor, if you came to me with that proposition, I would say to you, I'm going to put you in touch with the commercial real. You choose which shop would you like to go in that's empty. So you tell me which shop that is. We find the sign on the door, say it's Commercial Realty, Elders, whoever it is. I put you in touch with that person, so I connect you to them. They need to ring the landlord, because even though the city of Bunbury take the rates off the commercial buildings, they actually don't own the building.
Yeah, of
so
course.
We need to go and connect you with the commercial realty, who then connects you with the owner or the landlord of that building, to say, we've got Jake here who wants to do X, Y, Z. How can we activate this, and what can you give us in terms of a cheaper deal? Let's test the idea. Let's do it for 3 months at minimal rent. You'd have to look at everything else.
Yeah.
Because the city, unless you get a grant through their community grant program, I don't know this verbatim, but I would imagine it would be very difficult to do an individual Jake Kerr Black Ink.
Yeah.
So I think, and I'm just putting my practical hat on here, that yes, I connect you to the commercial, the realty person who's got it for lease or for ownership, for sale. They then contact the landlord or the owner. You sit down and you work out a deal.
See, this is the thing.
And it could be 6 months rent free.
Yeah, but I'm not asking how, because as a business owner, like I know that process. Right. And I'd skip the commercial part, and I'd just ask my buddies who owns that, and I'd call them and say, how I want to do this. How do we do it? Right. Because I'm executor. Right.
Perfect.
My question is, why doesn't this, I think there's a gap, and the city is worried about waste. The city is worried about how we're spending. The city is worried about homelessness. The city is worried about big topics. I think one thing that's overlooked is there's so much potential in, I would say, young, new forms of commerce.
Great.
And it's like there's no catchment program for that,
Well, what I would do is encourage you to write a business case. Now, don't make it too complicated, but just to, throw it through ChatGPT. I want a business case to sell this idea that I have with this scope. This is my purpose. This is my scope. This is what I want to do. And send it through to the head of economic development.
Yeah.
They put it towards their team. They say, okay, what's the feasibility of this? We want to activate. We know. And also in that communication, solve the problem for them.
Yeah, I know.
Solve the problem. What problem am I trying to solve? I'm wanting to solve the empty shop.
Yeah.
The 67 empty shops or whatever it is across the region.
Yeah.
Across the city, sorry. Solve the problem in your business case, write your purpose, your passion, your scope, all of those things, and then submit it.
Yeah,
Request a meeting.
Worst you can get is a no.
Request a meeting. This is what I can do.
Yep.
Now, that to me is innovation. That to me is exciting.
Yeah.
Because you're taking, something that you see as a gap, something that you want to potentially activate.
Yeah, and going, I can activate that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it's just
But it's just knowing that you can do that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like I feel like the only problem once you start like really solving problems in your own business, you sort of look at the world as malleable, and that's what was ringing true to how you were explaining sort of your upbringing. Is that you get to a point where you look around and you're like, oh, the world was made by people like me, and I'm a person like me. So what do I want to have happen?
Yep.
And yeah, like to be honest with you, for complete transparency, I don't have 6 weeks, 3 months, 6 months to put myself in that position because we're really doing something else with the uniform side of things.
Yes.
Yeah, my is just, it feels like, I preface it by saying it's a dumb question, and it is a dumb question. I know too much. I know that there's too many things happening at once for there to be this complete space opened and explored when there's really no problem to be solved. Yeah, interesting. Go back to, you were talking about it has not been without failure that's got you to the position that you're in. Something that I was sort of, like working through as you were talking is I would rather hear from the person who tried and struck out and learned a lesson than from the person who's watching it from the bleachers. I think that the fact that, failing is a different version of winning because you were still racing.
Yeah.
And there's this weird, like, if I look at every decision that I've made since when I first bought a business at 21, the first failure was buying a business and not starting one in that industry. And then I looked at all the decisions that I made for those 4 years. I went from a franchise to an independent. I came up with a business name that had nothing to do with the thing that I was doing. I sold what I was in as a complete ongoing asset and kept the name for I don't even know why. I then transitioned to being a truck driver for years. I left that. I then got back into business by entering drop shipping. I bought 100 battery operated fish finders. I still have 95 of them. I got into,
I've got a similar story to that.
Yeah, and this is the thing, right? Then I got into being a clothing brand full time, and then that pivoted into making my own clothes, which then pivoted into making other people's clothes, which then turned into doing uniforms, which then got us to a point of Outfit Co.
Wow.
And then there is a million micro decisions in that process between creating Outfit Co. and being to where we are right now, which is, for complete transparency, we're in our second week of being profitable in 5 years.
Wow.
Right? That's where I'm at right now. There is a million micro decisions that 950,000 of them were failures.
Yeah, that's it.
And it's you. Like I'm now experiencing the 5 year mark where people are looking at you going like, "Shit, you're still doing it." And other business owners are like, "He might be a real one." And everyone who doesn't know business is just like, "Yeah, I fully see him as a business owner. That's what he is. He owns it. He started a thing. He's doing it." And their story is, well, Black Ink's been around for 10 plus years. I don't understand why he's not driving a Porsche yet, right? The reality is most of it's failure. Most of it is gut-wrenching, tear-jerking, staying awake at night, wondering what the fuck you're doing, failure.
Or is it learning?
It's learning. It's learning. It's learning.
Because the failure to me, and it's funny because while you were talking, I was thinking, my businesses that I've had, and there's 5 total, that I personally been, owned. Was it failure, or was it that I didn't know shit? I didn't know that part of the business, which the rest of it, which is what I'm hearing you say, is that there's part of the business that you had to learn how to get to where you are today.
Yeah.
And 5 years is actually about normal in
Yeah.
businesses before you start making
For sure.
money. It's so fascinating. It is absolutely the mindset, and the entrepreneurial mindset is one. I've got a son who's very entrepreneurial, and it's I'm hearing him, through what you're saying. It's that giving it a go, and pivot to the next point because, that wasn't quite right. So coming up with another angle.
Yeah.
Let's go down that track. Off you go. And it's not big.
Shit, they got me.
And I'm wondering whether that is it failure, or is it just that innate learning that you are saying to yourself, I'm just not going to give up. Like, I can hear that in you.
That's what I think. Failure is quitting, and the rest is learning.
Yep.
It's only when you lay the sword down and you're like, it's got me.
Yep.
That's real failure. Because that's the thing. Like I look back at we make decisions. We, as in me and my multiple personalities, I make decisions extremely quick now. Mm-hmm. I found out a new bit of information about just some stuff going on behind the scenes, and I made a decision that was, if I had to make this decision like 2 years ago, it would have taken like a month. And I made the decision, made 3 phone calls, solved the problem, and it put us behind by about 3 months. But it was like, it doesn't matter because the greater good means this, that, the other. The ability to make that decision in that moment for such a big consequence, should it not go right, which I don't think that's the case, but should it not go right, is only because I've fucked around making that decision before and it cost me more.
That's it.
Yeah. It's like, right.
But you probably didn't back yourself at the time?
At the time, no. No, you weren't backing a successful outcome. You were backing this like, well, if it goes wrong this way, then I'll have to. You're coming up with all these faux realities, and it's like, no, you have to bank. You have to bet on you winning because I've never not had food in the fridge. You know what I mean? I've never slept on the street in any of these decisions, which means that you're going to figure it out. And if it does turn to shit, worry about that then.
Exactly.
But now just keep betting as if it's going to work.
Yep.
And, I think that like ability to be in the heart of failure and still be looking at like, no, there's a light at the end of the tunnel. We're all good, And like I preached it before on the podcast as well. Like not having money doesn't affect me the same way as having money does, Because if you feel heartbroken when you're poor, you're not going to feel much better when you have money. You're just going to be the same sad person,
No, that's so true.
Like wealth is nothing to do with money. No. Money is just the current indicator of where you're at.
What's a transaction, isn't it?
Yeah. And you know that because like I paid a BAS bill this morning and I was the same person before and after it. Yeah. And the ATO was the same before and after it. It is literally just a number on a screen, And it's such a bizarre, it's weird now to be in this moment 5 years in and like having this reflection and then also going, well, what does that mean for 5 years from now? Because if you were to start that same cafe today, your first month now would be a polar opposite of your first month then. There's a whole bunch of shit you wouldn't do and a whole bunch of stuff you would immediately do.
Yep.
Yep. And it's the same. Take all this away from me today. I would make a better version of what I'm running because I get a chance to start again.
Yeah. So true.
And you actually caught me before I teared up thinking about the process because it's like there's something so beautiful about that continuous failing and just going like, oh, you're not going to stop me.
Yeah, that's it.
I'm in it to win.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
it's keeping your ego in check as well, I think. And ego is something that really gets us,
100%.
And that check in. Like I was, I still remember on the election night on the 18th of October, and my partner looked at me. He could not believe how calm I was. Whereas everyone else was up like, asking about the numbers and scrutineer, checking with the scrutineers. And, I just sat back and I was just watching it all, just completely, just taking it all in, really calm to the process. because I just trusted in the process.
Yeah.
I did actually trust in the process because whatever it was going to be,
at that point, it's already done.
Yeah.
It's just accounting. Okay, let's stop right there for a moment. Today's podcast is proudly brought to you by Bahlu Coffee Bar. They're my favourite coffee shop in town to stop in, have a chat, check in with a crew that are always happy to see me. They've got great coffee. They've got great food. One of my favourite food options is either the ham and cheese toastie or the brekkie wrap, of course, both of which have been reviewed on my Instagram page. Go check that out. We've actually collaborated at the moment on a super fun tee. There's an illustration of the shop front. It's got the words My Local and then like Bahlu BLXCK INK collab. Super fun. They're available in the cafe and also on my website, so check that out. If you want to go get yourself a coffee, brekkie wrap, or ham and cheese toastie, or anything delicious that they offer, they've also got acai. Find them at 62A Beach Road and tell them that Jake from BLXCK INK sent you. Anyway, back to the podcast. Are you spiritual?
Yes, I'm very connected to energy, and I'm very spiritual. That's hard for me to understand the depth of spirituality, but I'd like to think that I'm spiritual. I'd like to think that I operate from my core.
Yep.
I know that I'm intuitive, hugely. I can walk into a room and I'll know energetically whether I need to be there or not. Because sometimes I get zapped. I'm a true empath.
Yep.
So I pick up on energies everywhere I go. I know that if somebody's talking about me before I get into a room, I know.
Yeah.
And I just look around and just eyeball everyone.
Yeah.
And I then make my moment whether I need to stay or, quietly excuse myself. But mostly it's good, but the energies can zap, very much so.
Yeah, I feel like we're in a weird time for spirituality. I used to say, are you religious? But unfortunately, it's almost like a demonized word, I feel like. And the more I learn about this whole experience of being a human, I think religion has sort of bastardized what it is to be spiritual. And I say that in full hopes that I'm right. Otherwise, it's a terrible afterlife. But
yeah, that's all I'm thinking too.
Yeah.
Just be the best person you can be.
Yeah. And also, like, I feel like, we spoke at the beginning of this conversation, like there's a karmic balance, like doing this over here will affect that over there, and if I feel like that is the pattern that repeats itself in every instance, in every situation, all through life. And you can expect that, if you create a great transactional experience for someone, the result for that is a great thing for you, know?
No, it's true.
And that, in essence, that is what Christianity is. Here's a set of rules, live by them, and try and do to others what you want to have happen to you, right? I feel like maybe the practices go a little bit off the deep end, the idea of what church is, the idea of practicing the, metaphorical stories of the Bible in your real life and having a point of reference to make decisions based off your situation and similar situations in the Bible. But yeah, I feel like now is a really interesting time. You're finding a lot of young people are finding themselves spiritually.
Yep.
A lot of people are looking for something outside of answers on ChatGPT. They want to have like a feeling in themselves. They want internal purpose instead of external purpose.
And I think, to be fair to that people are looking for community.
Yeah.
But that's never changed.
Yeah.
They just didn't know what community was.
Yeah.
So whether community is in a church, whether it's community in your immediate environment, whatever that is. Like, I've got a community of swimmers. We swim every morning at the Hollow Beach.
Yeah.
That's my community on a Sunday morning, or 6 o'clock on another day.
Yeah.
And so I think it is about that, whatever it is defined for yourself individually.
Yeah.
And just being a good human.
Yeah.
Just being a good human.
It ties into the awareness we're talking about. And, outside of trying to get other people to be aware, but if you have a certain level of awareness and that internal conversation that lasts your lifetime, I think you do get to a point where you're like, I am connected to things outside of me and I don't know what that is and I want to know more about it.
Yeah.
And then you find yourself, you say you're sitting in rooms and you're like, oh, I really vibe with these people. And then you go to other rooms and you're like, these people are nothing like me or I'm nothing like them. What is that? And even if it's a subconscious conversation that's happening and you go on like, well, I think if I was to decide what sort of vibe I would be around, it's that first room more often
Yep.
than the second room.
Yes.
And then asking what that is expanded.
Yes, and I remember, and I laugh about it with my children now who are adults, and I say to them, do you remember me saying to you when you were younger, kindness begets kindness? And they said, oh, yes, Mum, that was in your hippy-dippy stage, you know, where we had no idea what you were talking about.
Yeah.
But it's funny because now today as adults with their young families, kindness begets kindness is imprinted in their psyche. Because if you're not kind to people, you know, what have we got?
Yeah, and what do you expect in return?
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
interesting.
So that for me is a mantra that I like to live by. Being kind.
A personal question. Do you drink alcohol?
I do.
Interesting. You struck me as a non-drinker.
I can go without alcohol, absolutely.
Yeah.
Like I don't, it's not it's not something I need, but I love the sociability of it.
Interesting.
When I'm socialising.
You drink wine?
Yeah.
Yeah, all right, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Even like when you came in with a black coffee, I'm like, oh, all right, a black coffee. All right, I get it.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
Interesting, yeah.
I don't drink beer, never liked beer. I don't like the wheat.
Yeah,
in it. So, yeah.
It's weird actually. I do drink.
Yeah.
But the only time I'm drinking is when I'm with the boys and they have the things I drink around. Otherwise,
What, bourbon and Coke? Or?
no? I like I've found these since having Jason on the podcast the first time. Actually, I found an interest in Fireball.
Oh.
And because him and I actually had a shot on the podcast together from the bottle, not even out of a shot glass, just drank it straight from the bottle.
Oh, that's hilarious.
But and then one of my mates got me one of these pre-mixed Fireball cinnamon with apple.
Wow.
With cinnamon and apple, and that's sort of become like my drink.
Oh, that's so
But no, I'm more like, legally smoking weed and doing that sort of thing. But yeah, it's so interesting. I don't know, alcohol is such a. I feel like when I was 18, it was a lot more like everyone just drank alcohol. Kids do not care about alcohol anymore, And I'm finding now, as someone who's living this year being considerably sober because we're trying for children.
Yes.
So it's very like, you actively are going like, not only do I not drink that much, I'm not drinking even when the opportunity arises. You sort of like my business, get better, and then you connect with other people who are having that experience and you're hearing about how their life is. I'm sleeping better. I'm having better relationships with the people around me that I care about. I'm not partaking in activities that don't serve me as much, and I'm getting all these other results back. So yeah, usually it's, in my business owner friends, it goes hand in hand.
Yeah.
A lot of them are like, we save alcohol for celebrating, not for Tuesday night for no reason, Also, typically if you're in business for yourself, you're controlling your life a little bit more and you don't have to escape because you actually enjoy Tuesday morning, Wednesday morning.
That's it.
Monday morning, you're excited. I get to go.
Having that clarity.
Yeah. Yeah, and the value you get on Sunday night isn't greater than the value you get on Monday morning.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's interesting. So I think we've covered a lot of we've got a good foundation of Julie at the start of this. I'm excited to see what the next 4 years holds for you.
Thanks, Jake.
I'm excited to see how much of this motivation and gusto, I called it this morning on the phone, how much of that you can maintain over the next 4 years, because I think that you've got such a good opportunity to make effective change. And I say that because perhaps, maybe or maybe not, there are people in council who have been in council. There are people who are in council. There are people who are putting their names up for council, people who are putting their names up for mayor, that I think they're good operators, but not in that position.
Yeah.
And I think you're a good operator in the right position at the right time. And as long as your heart doesn't get broken and as long as people don't break your stride, you will do great things for Bunbury.
Thanks, Jake. And to answer your question earlier, I don't know if I answered it. As long as I am useful and of purpose, I'll stay for a second term.
Yep.
But if I'm not of use or not making a difference, not just to myself but the whole community, then, I'll pull up stumps and hopefully become a mentor to people who want to enter local government. That's sort of would be a dream of mine, to help young people getting into how to campaign. What do you need to do to prepare? I remember talking to Courtney, who came and put a hat in the ring this time around.
Oh, the young...
Yeah, Courtney, yeah.
Yeah.
And I had a chat to her because she was at nomination stage, only just starting out. And I had been working 2 months prior to nomination with all my marketing material, my how I was going to do this. You know, I still probably didn't execute it my normal Julie style. I think I probably missed, I was away for 3 weeks prior and I probably missed, but I did do a lot of pre-work. But I still, in hindsight, would have run a little bit different campaign. Happy with the outcome, of course. But I think there's some more things that I could have done. But as I said to Courtney, it is a race because you've got literally, when you nominate, I think it was the beginning of August, you've literally got August, September, and halfway through October, that's it.
Yeah.
It's done.
Yeah, it's a 10-week run.
It is.
10 weeks sounds huge until you're 7 weeks in. You're like, oh, shit.
Yeah. And what to do, that's the one thing is like, I did speak to councillors, many councillors. What are you doing? Oh, I'm printing 9,000 flyers and I'm getting Australia Post to deliver them. I didn't want to be the same.
Yeah.
So many councillors, all their flyers arrived the same day.
Yeah.
All threefold, bifold.
The whole lot get thrown out at once.
Yep. So I don't know if you saw mine, but it was A5. It was colourful. It was bright. It was professional looking. Some criticised me for spending too much money on that. And I said, well, actually, I didn't spend that much money on it. I had a graphic designer help me with that. Sure, I got, the print job done by the print shop. But what was important for me was that I needed to be different to everyone else because how was I going to be a point of difference? And hand delivering 4,000 flyers was my choice. Yeah. I could have chosen Australian Post for sure, but I thought, well, I didn't want to do what everyone else did. Now, whether that was in my favour or not, it might not have been. I might not have had enough detail. I won't ever know that until I'm speaking to people to say, what is it about me that you chose to put me as a preference?
Yeah.
And I did speak to one of our older members of our community and she said, I just loved your rawness. You weren't promising anything. You just told me a little bit about your background and how it's formed you.
Yeah, well, maybe I talked about that with Sue on our most recent podcast. Sue? No, Meryl. She's now former journalist. We're saying like this idea that people are going to come on and say I promise this and I promise that. There's a complete like saturation of what the role is.
Yes, yeah.
I don't want you to solve anything. No. I want you to go and be as sponge-like as you can.
Yeah.
Soak up the information, remove your emotion and ego, and make a decision for the betterment of the majority of the people.
Exactly. And look at the future, because the decisions that you might be making today are actually going to form the livability, our community as a whole, the sustainability, which is so important for us to be looking at. Really some big decisions are going to be coming up.
Yeah.
Now, if we're not informed to make those decisions, that could put us back years.
Yeah.
And it could stifle the progress that I think so many people before us have worked so hard to do. And I don't think I've spoken to one person that doesn't believe in Bunbury.
Yeah.
Like everyone I speak to just loves Bunbury.
Yeah. It's so crazy, like you sort of think that, I don't know, I have this perception that there's like 50 people in Bunbury and I know 49 of them, Yeah. And then you go on, like, I see people that comment on my stuff online that are Bunbury citizens and I'm like, they say something negative and I'm like, I've never even heard of your surname.
Wow.
Like, where are you at?
Yeah.
What job do you do?
Yeah.
Because you are so far away from my reality.
Wow.
But we have a greater population of 100,000 people, which in the grand scheme of humanity is so small that you almost should know everyone, But yeah, the truth is, and then you see, unfortunately, if you go onto Facebook, which is just a collection place for negative comments, you are like, oh, people don't like Bunbury. But that's not the case.
No.
You're going to the place where someone who doesn't like Bunbury is going to find other people like them in an echo chamber, see Jason's post and go like, don't like him.
Don't like his hair. I love that people comment on his hair. I'm thinking, that's like such a first world problem.
Yeah.
Don't like the way, it's about time that you did your hair. And I'm like, is that what aren't they listening to what comes out of his mouth? Aren't they?
I do love that he's making more of an effort with his hair.
Yeah, that's it.
I mean, I'd hear what you're saying, but
Yeah.
also you can't have years of people hanging shit on Trump about his hair
Yeah.
and then not replicate the behaviour in their own backyard. And finally, I get to say something. I don't like his hair. You know, like
Yeah.
that's what that is.
Yeah, it's funny.
It's a bizarre thing. I've been asking this question at the end of podcast. Do you have any questions for me?
No, just keep doing what you do. I think it's fabulous that you reach out to community members and just get an insight to what makes people. I think it's so enriching for all sorts of reasons, but I love the fact that you reach out and delve into people's lives because, one, it humanises the story, but also it humanises actually our role, you know, in this instance, my role. But, yeah, just keep doing what you're doing and thank you for, you know, putting so much work into this. I mean,
beautiful.
You know, I think it's a credit to you. Yeah.
Thank you. I actually, you know, when I close my eyes and I sort of like imagine what's my most valuable contribution to, you know, my life, what's that word? Selfishly. And then the outer ring, like my family, and then the outer ring of that is my community. And then, you know, it goes state, country, world. And it's like, I think, like, I like to believe that I'll be a counsellor and I'll help make the right decisions and all that. But I think when I actually look at contextually where I fit into that, it's these conversations. I think that having these conversations and growing this to be something that I can financially, like, afford to do, that it's something that through having more valuable, for lack of a better word, more valuable people, which then allows me to have deeper and more interesting and more valuable conversations that hopefully, I mean, in 2 years' time, if you go, you're going to put your name up for council, it's like, well, no, because I'm already contributing so much to this town by actually being able to hold people's feet to the flame when they're in these positions of power. Because I have this analogy that when you're a citizen, you get to ask questions, and when you're a councillor, you have to answer them. And I'm better at asking questions than I am at answering them. So maybe just stick to asking questions.
Potentially. But also you've got an opportunity to inspire others because I get a sense that that is also in your DNA. Yes, you want to inspire yourself, but you've got an inherent way by running these sessions is that we're going to inspire somebody.
Yeah,
somewhere,
for sure.
Aren't we?
One person per podcast.
You know,
we do that, we're doing well.
And inspiring people to, even if it's to look at the local government as a role, you know, it isn't for the faint-hearted, absolutely, but I think you get out of it what you put into it, is my belief. That's what I do for the rest of my life. But I think this is the same. I think I'll get out of it what I put in. And I'll put in an energy that is positive, that is can-do, that is with good outcomes. And, you know, how can I go wrong?
Yeah.
But, you know, talk to me in 4 years.
Yeah. We'll check back in.
But I think, you know, to talk about my energy, I've got energy to boot. You know, I've got a lot of energy. You know, I'm 66 this year. Well, I've just turned 66.
Yeah.
Most, you know, I feel that I've got, still gas left in the tank. So,
yeah, beautiful.
You know, if I can be doing this for another 4 years after this, I will be a happy girl, lady. But if I feel that I'm not of use, then I'll be aware of that.
Yeah.
And I'll say, look, I want to pass the baton over and I'll do my best to educate and mentor anyone who wants to come into the role.
Absolutely. Well, thank you very much for coming on the podcast.
Pleasure.
And everyone else, be good to your mum because we are out.